when I say the fucking pipes is leaking and whatever, and you got to speak on it. But let them be able to speak, say what they need to say. These two get them, and Christine live in this place. Get them has one perspective. Christine has another. In every state you go to, because we played, and I'm landing, Sandra. We played clip after, and I don't have a side. I have an opinion, but I don't have. We played clip after clip after clip of people in Chicago, and they have a wonderful mayor, and they have an excellent governor. But them people in Chicago, they was talking about hold the fuck up. My neighborhood look like this. My neighborhood look like that. We don't even like this motherfucking mayor. I mean, it was just crazy. And his approval rates, and I know nothing about his mayor in Chicago, no, I do nothing about your governor. His approval rate was double when I looked it up. First it was single digits, and then it said double digits. I'm just saying, you guys, not taking sides, not have an opinion. We're going to have the conversation, because you're going to get people in here, live there, and some that don't, that's going to be saying, yay, man, bring them in. And it's at their own peril, because I don't live there. So if I did live there, I wouldn't want the National Guard, because you guys heard me say I feel comfortable having any type of militarization of my community. But to me in New York City, in Manhattan, down in Lower Manhattan, close to the bridge, I let other people who live in these cities speak on this. And I'm glad you're educating Miss Christine. Maybe she didn't know some of the things that you guys have offered up. Thank you so much for bringing these facts into the room. And she might see it a little bit differently once we finish with the conversation. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. And the next person up is Miss Sandra. Go ahead, Miss Sandra.
Thank you, Lisa. One of the things that Get 'em Gone said, the things that they need is to help with the kids, to have some things for the kids to do, after school programs and stuff like that. The money that Memphis is going to have to pay, Memphis citizens are going to have to pay for the National Guard is astrofucking-nominal. That money that they're getting ready to pay could be going into making some changes in the city. So I don't think she realizes that she needs to look into how much those men and women get paid. Each one, they could bring in 2,000, they could bring in 3,000, 4,000. Y'all gonna have to pay for that. You guys. So I don't know if she realizes that. And in DC, and I know Memphis is hot. The Black-owned businesses in DC, when Trump brought the National Guard, literally shut down. The restaurants, the clubs, they weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't shooting up the block, but the people wouldn't come. So the tourism, Memphis is the tourist town. The tourism went to shit. Didn't nobody want to go to DC with the National Guard walking around, even if all of them was picking up trash in the damn park. They didn't want to be there. So it shut the city down. So now the restaurants and shit, they closed. Guess what? Trump's cronies, his little rich friends, I bet you they're going to buy that shit up real cheap and open up white restaurants. So the Black restaurants are probably gone. And the other people that live there. So it is what it is. If that's what you want, Miss Christine, I hope it works for you.
F. Grade want to jump in. Go ahead, F. Grade. And then whoever said Lisa next, y'all next.
I just want to know if you played the clip from the Memphis political. Anyway.
Oh no, I have the mayor queued up. I was just waiting because we went from one subject to the next. But yeah, go ahead, F. Gray. And thanks, Mike.
There's people on the left that can't accept the fact that the Democrats completely screwed up. And all of these people, whether it's left, but particularly the right, that are hugely popular, are answering something that the Dems and the liberal left, as you know, a registered Democrat, refuse to acknowledge, and they still refuse to acknowledge this. So even though some people are saying, because of this tragedy, you're going to have more people. No, I agree with you. It's not just the tragedy. Like, that political left is completely still not looking in the mirror. Now, to land my plane on that and to move on, as an artist, I'm not for censorship. As an educator as well, I guess my question is, we're in the Wild West where, yes, people behaved a certain way in the past. People didn't have the power to go on social media. It was news media, whether it was radio, whether it was newspapers, and they had standards, and they still do, of what they will put out there for legal and many other responsibility issues, ethical issues in journalism. But we're living in a time where anybody could pretty much go online, regardless of repercussions or anonymously, and say whatever they want, rile whoever they want up. Yes, I think who's in power gets sometimes to determine those censorship elements, but what I see as an artist is people are really not that intelligent about it. You know, when I look to certain past people who really challenge things and thought and influence people to think differently, it wasn't just political rhetoric, it was other forms. And I guess my question is in the light, not being for censorship, being for freedom of speech, in the light of we're in the Wild West of the internet, where a 10-year-old could go online and say whatever they want, whether it's 10 years old, 40, or 70, what do you want to do about it? Is this the society we want to live in? Because I'm going to just be blunt, we are in such a classless society on so many levels. And this is, to me, this is what we're doing. We're just producing this over and over again. Societies for all economic and status classes had a set of conduct. And we're, you know, in the age of, if you want to go into the store in your pajamas, you can. If you want to go on the internet and say whatever, you can, no matter who it's going to insult. So I guess I'm sitting back listening to this, and I understand people are anti-censorship, but there were things in place in societies that control behavior to some extent.
I'm going to answer your question. And then I think a mod or two wanted to, and then next in the queue is Christian, Your Peace, and Jorge. I want to remind you, it's 100% factual that at least on Clubhouse, 85% of people that you see in a room just listen. Only 10 to 15% talk. So when you hear the 10 to 15% talk, which is factual, don't assume that the other 85% agree. And with that, did a mod want to speak before we go to Christian, Your Peace, and Jorge?
I do. And I think that's a really excellent point, and I think that is the crisis of our time. We are all addressing points made by the worst of us. That's just the reality. We're all, and we do it here on Clubhouse. One person comes on the stage and says something absolutely outrageous, and the whole room shifts to focus on them and to debate them and to interact with them. We have moved away from discussion as a way of moving forward and solving problems, and we now, and we like to debate as sport. It's not about solutions. And so what do when all of the social media tools that we have available to us are incentivizing the absolute worst behavior? And quite frankly, there's a musculature that we're all losing about how to find consensus, because we're all learning the skill of how to win the argument and to get the most points. Like there's actually points. Right now, our kids can't read. We have like actual real problems, and we sit around all day talking past each other as opposed to each other, and we get points for that, dopamine hits for that. How do we reroute that kind of behavior when that's the behavior that's rewarded?
100%. Before we move on, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Marshall, me, Denise, other mods, and other people in this room agree on a solution-oriented philosophy. And that solution-oriented philosophy starts with agreeing on common ground. If we can all agree that it is wrong to assassinate someone simply because of their words, we can stop there and move on. But if somebody, and I've said it before, there's at least one person in this room who doesn't agree. There's one person in this room who says, no, it's okay to assassinate someone because of their words. You know what I say?
Wait, and can I interrupt you right there, Steve? I'm so sorry.
In a moment you can.
Yes.
In a moment.
There is a common
Some
law.
of you may say we can come to a
If this is
consensus
so,
with that person.
We are fellow citizens. If this is so, we are members of some political community. If this is so, the world is in a manner a state. For of what other common political community will anyone say that the whole human race are members? From thence, from this common political community comes also our very intellectual faculty and reasoning faculty and our capacity for law. Or whence do they come? For as my earthly part is a portion given to me from certain earth, and that which is watery from another element, and that which is hot and fiery from some peculiar source, for nothing comes out of that which is nothing, as nothing also returns to non-existence. And so also the intellectual part comes from some source. Death is such as generation is, a mystery of nature, composition out of the same elements, and a decomposition into the same, and altogether not a thing of which any man should be ashamed. For it is not contrary to the nature of a reasonable animal, and not contrary to the reason of our constitution. It is natural that these things should be done by such persons. It is a matter of necessity. If a man will not have it so, he will not allow the fig tree to have juice. But by all means bear this in mind, that within a very short time both thou and he will be dead, and soon not even your names will be left behind. Take away thy opinion, and then there is taken away the complaint. I have been harmed. Take away the complaint. I have been harmed. And the harm is taken away. That which does not make a man worse than he was, also does not make his life worse, nor does it harm him either from without or from within. The nature of that which is universally useful has been compelled to do this. Consider that everything which happens justly. And if thou observest carefully, thou wilt find it to be so. Do not say only with respect to the continuity of the series of things, but with respect to what is just, and as if it were done by one who assigns to each thing its value. Observe then as thou hast begun, and whatever thou doest, do it in conjunction with this, the being good, and in the sense of which a man is properly understood to be good. Keep to this in every action. Do not have such an opinion of things as he has who does thee wrong, such as he wishes thee to have.
Krishna.
But look at them as they are in truth. Man should always have these two rules in readiness. The one, to do only whatever the reason of the ruling and legislating faculty may suggest for the use of men. The other, to change thy opinion, if there is any one at hand who sets thee right and moves thee from any opinion. But this change of opinion must proceed only from a certain persuasion, as of what is just or of common advantage and the like, not because it appears pleasant or brings reputation. Hast thou reason? I have. Why then dost not thou use it? For if this does its own work, what else dost thou wish? Thou hast existed as a part, thou shalt disappear in that which produced thee, but rather thou shalt be received back into its seminal principle by transmutation. Many grains of frankincense on the same altar. One falls before, another falls after, but it makes no difference. Within 10 days, thou wilt seem a god to those to whom thou art now a beast and an ape. If thou wilt return to thy principles and the worship of reason, do not act as if thou wert going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over thee. While thou livest, while it is in thy power, be good. How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only to what he does himself, and it may be just and pure. Or as Agathon says, look not round at the depraved morals of others, but run straight along the line without deviating from it. He who has a vehement desire for posthumous fame does not consider that every one of those who remember him will himself also die very soon. Then again also they who have succeeded them, till the whole remembrance shall have been extinguished, as it is transmitted through men who foolishly admire, perish. But suppose that those who will remember are even immortal, that the remembrance will be immortal. But then is this to thee? And I say not what it is to the dead, but what is it to the living? What is praise except
Division
so
is
far as it is
completely acceptable and okay with some exclusions. And one of those exclusions is that it's not okay to assassinate someone anytime, any reason for their words. That we don't want division on. You see, sometimes the problem with what I find with political movements is their message is too complicated. I'm not going to give examples. I believe what me, Marshall, Denise, and others are saying is a very simple message. And you're right, we don't want division in that message. It's never, under any circumstances whatsoever, to assassinate someone because of their words. And you know what? Let me. I played this earlier in the critical thinking room. This, of course, is the after party. Give me like 45 seconds.
I understand it until a few hours ago. America isn't easy. America is advanced citizenship. You've got to want it bad, because it's going to it's going to say, you want speech? Let's see you acknowledge a man whose words make your blood boil, standing center stage and advocating at the top of his lungs that which you would spend a lifetime opposing at the top of yours. You want to claim this land as a land of the free? Then the symbol of your country cannot just be a flag. The symbol also has to be one of its citizens exercising his right to burn that flag in protest. Now show me that. Defend that. Celebrate that in your classrooms.
Our message is very simple, very short, and very clear. It is never, ever, under any circumstances whatsoever acceptable to assassinate somebody because of their words.
Yes, Steve. As I've watched today, my family, I think, as you know, are very line with law enforcement, right? My husband spent over 35 years protecting our home ground here in
Thank you. Thank you for the service.
Yep, absolutely. And to see that this, I say child because he's the same age as my son, for his father to go in and resign, put down his badge, get back his gun. He said, I can't do my job anymore today. If you follow anybody on Facebook, follow the Thin Blue Line if you want to know this type of information. But I mean, we've been in law enforcement talking to each other pretty much for the last week now. We're going to be coming right back up to Wednesday real soon. And I mean, that father is going to grieve the rest of his life because he had to make that should never for a parent have to be made. He had to call in his friends with the U.S. Marshal, let's get him in before he gets killed going in, you know, to custody. But I mean, guys, there's not one human on earth that I would ever in my life dream of just taking out. And to watch these young kids, I've listened to friends, their kids are making like these little things on Fortnite of killing Charlie and all this stuff. These weird people are out there doing. Pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to what they're saying. Talk to them because weird stuff going around, and it's very sad for our country.
You know, my opinion. You know why these types of conversations didn't happen when Brian Thompson was assassinated? I said earlier, half the people in here don't know who Brian Thompson is, but I guarantee you everybody pretty much knows who Luigi Mangione was. He was the guy that shot that CEO from the insurance company of United. That was Brian Thompson. But guess what? Brian Thompson was a quiet man. He did his job. He didn't have tens of millions of followers like Kirk had. And that's why we're having the discussions now. Kirk's a famous dude. Brian Thompson was just doing his job. But guess what? They both had a wife and they both had kids. And they were both just doing an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. Yet Brian Thompson, the really didn't come around. But with Kirk now, you're getting it all. The message is simple. It's never, ever, no matter what, acceptable to assassinate somebody because of their words.
And the extension of that, it's also not acceptable to fire somebody because they put a quote from Charlie Kirk on Facebook. Like that is equally unacceptable. Like, we have to believe that people are free. They're free to have a different opinion than you have. They're free to have a different experience of someone. One thing that has become painfully true to me in this whole exercise is the fact that we do not have the same internet. We don't see the same clips. We don't have access to the same information. We are being pitted against each other. So, like, allow people the freedom to process their experience of someone the way they choose to. And if you don't like it, you don't have to engage with that person. But I think having a full-on witch hunt of anybody who disagreed or who found what Charlie Kirk said offensive, I feel like that is un-American. Like, I don't know. I just think we can't do revisionist history. Everybody's going to have to be honest of the points and the places that they were hypocritical, that they went too far. I think we've all kind of gone too far, right? And like, how do we move forward? We have to there's going to have to just be some integrity, just being honest, right? And if we can do that, even with our best intentions, this is still going to be incredibly difficult because we are intentional. Our rage is being monetized. Somebody is cashing in chips right now because we're clicking on the worst, most hateful things that come across our desk.
Oh,
right?
our spirit. Oh yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's it. So like, it's like we have to be smarter than the algorithm that is intentionally pulling us apart. And I know that's not easy to do. It's incredibly hard to do. But if we don't like take kind of like a personal responsibility and there's a specific intention around that, we're going to lose a whole generation of young people. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that happen.
For those of you, you can. I'll be very quick, and yes, you can. You that are wondering why Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are reacting the way they are, and whether you agree or disagree, I'll tell you why. It's very simple. It's not that complicated. They're attempting to get more votes in the next election. Now, maybe you're someone who says, oh, well, it's going to backfire on them. Well, maybe it will. But they've got the research. They've got the people behind them. They've got the algorithms that Denise mentioned. And I guarantee you 100% that the reason why Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are talking the way they are is because they believe it's going to get them more votes, period, end of story. Who wanted to go next?
It was me, Steve. I'm Miriam.
Please do.
Thanks. I wanted to quickly respond to Denise. I agree with you, but there's always a caveat to, private businesses and rules of engagement and HR policy manuals and code of ethics. So to an extent, I agree. But once you get to that point where you're an employee, there's a code of conduct, you're signing it, there are some regulations that within a business setting. However, on the flip side, you have people like Representative Randy Fine, who's actively tweeting out, I want the names of everyone on every platform, that is saying anything derogatory in any way, shape, or form, not even celebrating, just anything. I want to know who they are, and we're going to get them fired. Keep up the good work, everybody. Then you've got, and I really can't believe this one came out from Representative Clay Higgins, because I always know him to be like a hardcore constitutionalist. In fact, he's always talked about being a House rep because he believes that the House side is the protector of the Constitution. But you have somebody like him who says, hey, I'm going to, if it's the last thing I do, come hell or high water, I'm going to ban any belittling of Charlie Kirk or his death, right? The belittling of it, not the celebration of the assassination, but the mere belittling of Charlie Kirk. He wants to ban, and not only that, ban on all social media platforms. So if you're on Instagram and you say something about Charlie Kirk, then you get reported and you get banned on Facebook, you get banned on X, you get banned on Clubhouse, you get banned on Reddit, you get banned on YouTube, and so on and so on. So when you have, on the flip side, people saying that are members of Congress, it does kind of take us back to where we've been talking about, which is like the whole freedom of speech thing. So there's two sides to it. I can totally get behind a company saying, hey, if you're wearing my uniform, if you're, out on a job, or if you're representing the company and you're a public face of the company, then there are some ways that we expect you to operate. But those standards of conduct apply to anything, not just one particular thing. I was actually having this conversation with my husband because we were talking about this. It was on the news that a guy got fired from his job because of something like that. But he was in his uniform and he was saying something. Now, if the company fires him just because it's Charlie Kirk, yeah, that's a problem. But if the company fires anyone who says anything that they're not supposed to do and they're representing the company, I think that's also fair game at the same time. So just wanted to show the both sides.
Can I jump in?
Can I chime into this? Marion, it's good to hear from you again. But
Hey, Brad.
There's an issue with it. And while your words are moving and your stance is logical, those exact same phrases were uttered during George Floyd, during COVID, during questionings of Fauci and stuff. Many people lost their businesses. Many people lost their homes. We had whole swath banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, after January 6th, divulge information without actually notifying its patrons or, waiting to receive a warrant of its patrons' private information to the FBI so they could track down where expenditures occurred in DC at that time. You had a wholesale an attack that even participated by our own federal government under the FBI, the Twitter files that Elon Musk revealed, and even some of the affirmations that came up by Zuckerberg and other people who, let's be honest, are no friends of the right, but apparently now are ostracized by their own party for coming out and saying, yep, they actually had a say in this stuff, and targeting those individuals. So while your words are correct, they were correct back then, when the right was saying, hey, this is going to come, this pendulum is going to swing, and we're going to not stop. And now the pendulum is swinging, and I'm sorry, for those in the way, for those that are saying, oh, we should have level heads, it's too late, because you went all in. When people said, let's just stop here, let's have a civil discourse. You should have listened to the Miriams, the Steves, the Marshalls, back in 2019, 2020, you should have started then. You should have listened to them. 2021, nope, nobody wanted that. And now you were like perfectly fine. You were cheering it on. Got another one on Twitter. There's literally entire websites dedicated to all the people who've ever commented on so happy to get rid of somebody else. The girl getting fired from Disney's movie thing because she was a Trump person. She was removed from her career, an acting role, hasn't recovered. There's many people. There's a woman who is slandered and slammed because she was Nancy Pelosi's hairdresser. She used to own her own business. Now she works in a shop in another part of California. She lost her wholesale because people canceled her for standing up and saying, hey, I didn't entrap Nancy Pelosi. But many people fell victim to that. And, unfortunately, no one's going to be ready to sit down and listen to your words until this carnage, this new round of carnage is done.
I know, and it's really sad, Brad. Sorry, just 10 seconds. I agree with you, but I'll kind of end with this. Vengeance is not the solution. So at some point, this vengeance, the cycle of vengeance that keeps repeating itself in the most partisan way needs to just stop, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just want to say, Miriam said, you said most of what I was going to say, but I want to say in general, like I marvel at people's ability to have a lot of freedom, because I've had jobs where I've had to be extremely careful and not put my personal opinions out there. As an educator, now maybe it's because it's kids. Teachers get fired for having their Facebook profile with a glass of wine because it's insane. So I marvel at this idea that people feel that they could have ultimate freedom to say what they want, and we technically do. But there are many people in jobs without wearing a uniform that are not able to do that.
I can speak to this issue. It's part of my wheelhouse. There are federal employment laws for hiring and firing, but most of the laws go down to the states. States are right to work states. Some states are not. I'm in California. It's not a right to work state. If any of you are concerned about whether or not you can legally be hired or fired based on what's on your Facebook, all you have to do is do a quick Google or Chat GPT search on your state and what the laws are existing currently for hiring and firing. It's up.
Here's a true answer as somebody who hires. Of course, HR and other people are going to scrub your Facebook. Of course, they're going to type your name into Google and find out. They just do. Like everybody in the employment sector is going to do that. Sorry, hate to tell you this. That's the truth.
Yeah, but my bigger point was with what Miriam said is that there's things that are said that aren't even as serious that I understand, Steve, and I do enjoy the rooms on the legality.
See you at Hard Rock.
You're in general, listen, a business could do what they could make your life miserable to get you to leave without bringing it to that point. But my main point is that
Yes.
I think because we're in this age where we have the ability to go online and advertise whatever we're thinking.
Yes.
There's an illusion that there aren't going to be repercussions. And like Miriam said, yes, there are corporate.
Oh, let me comment on that very quickly. Don't forget where you are. You're just about to go to corporate. I learned a long time ago. Actually, my dad told me this about 15 years ago. The last thing in the world you should do when you're at dinner is take pictures of your food and post them on your Facebook in real time. You wait till you get home. Why? Because you're telling the whole fucking world that you're out of the house and come rob me. Just saying.
John Kitover Slander.
Great PSA, Steve.
Thank you. I mean, look, that I know I'm making light of what you and others consider to be an extremely serious situation. I don't mean to demean you or minimize it, but well, you just have to do what's best for you, and that's all. That's all. Hi, Matt. I noticed you came in about 15 minutes ago. How's Connecticut, Matt, if you're there? If not, it's okay.
Couldn't tell you how Connecticut is. I just left Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Highway has a lot of road work.
Thank you, buddy. Let's see who's new. Paul, have you spoken yet? Would you like to speak, Paul?
I'm just in listening. Thanks, though.
You got it. My pleasure. We have Matt number 2, I guess, at the bottom. Hi, Matt. You just came onto the stage. Would you like to talk?
It's great to hear your voice, Steve. That's the only reason why I'm here.
Well, thank you. A lot of people do say I have a voice from God, even though I'm an atheist. And I'm... All right. It's respectful popcorn. Oh, here's a PSA for you. Those of you that may know, I just got back from a 1-week cruise in Mexico, and I had a very short conversation when I was in Ensenada with a military person who was dressed in military garb and had a drug sniffing dog as well as a fully automatic rifle. And I said, hey, does that dog only sniff one type of drug or multiple? And he said, the dog not only sniffs 5 different types of drugs, but also sniffs, and this is what he said, I kid you not, if someone has more than $10,000 in cash. And I said, you're kidding me. He goes, nope, you can sniff if you have more than $10,000 in cash in you. And of course, because the guy has a drug sniffing dog and an automatic weapon, I didn't want to further interrogate him. But what I assume is because most people who would carry 10 grand in cash have $100 bills, that if you were to carry over 100 $1 bills, the dog would probably be able to sniff that too. But I was never aware that you can use dogs to sniff out someone who has more than 10 grand in cash. There's a PSA for
you. Can't, Steve.
Well, according to him, Brad, you can.
So
and I'm actually not surprised. And let me tell you why. And by the way, I haven't looked this up on Google. I didn't research it. Maybe somebody else did. But when you carry money, I think all money is made of the same, whether it's a 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, or 100. And if you have 100 individual bills together with the human sweat and being transferred from hand to hand, I would think a dog could, but go ahead.
So dogs are just trained in the ink detection. I think he was just pulling your leg. I've never heard of a dog, and having worked with a lot of dogs over the years, and I've seen them engaged, especially in the military. I've never seen one specifically be able to hit just 10,000. Usually they go by the ink because the ink is unique. The paper, which isn't really paper, but it's that scent between the cotton and linen of it is really what they target on. So they can detect it. Now a certain volume, maybe, but if I just decided to randomly take out $10,000 out of my savings and stuff it in a backpack and touch all the bills and put it up there, would the dog, and I remove, let's say, $200 of it, isn't
No, Brad. I was suggesting 100 individual bills. In other words, maybe 100 $1 bills or 100, anything over 100 individual bills, the dog can detect. That's what I think.
Steve, it's because there's trace amounts of cocaine on those bills that are $100 and over.
Oh, okay.
So when it's like a lot of them together, the dogs they pick up on the cocaine traces, the very small amount of traces of the cocaine. So any money in circulation has very, very small traces of that cocaine. So
wow.
It's basically by coincidence if they like land a stash of 500,000.
Well, and of course, I didn't even need to ask. The reason why he said 10,000 is because if you leave if you come into the United States with more than 10 grand in cash, customs requires you to declare it. I presume if you go into another country with 10 grand in cash, you have to declare it also.
I'm not surprised.
The different bills use different inks. The different bills use different inks. This is something, they actually talked about this on Animal Planet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there was a show on Animal Planet like 3 years ago. They were talking about training, the dog's nose, particularly specific types of dogs, right? They're training dogs to sniff out like cancer, for example. They're training dogs to sniff out different things. The thing with the money is a little tricky, but it's because the different, it's all cotton, so it's not really paper, it's cotton, but it has something to do with the denominations using different types of ink, and they train the dogs to sniff out different types of ink.
Cool, thank you. David's new. Hi, David. You want to speak, or are you good? David.
Good. Great conversation. Was a great critical thinking room too.
Oh yeah.
And, appreciate everyone's comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Popcorn.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Violet?
Yes. Yeah, Violet.
Yeah, I'm not surprised if that would be possible. My research has been mostly into cadaver dogs because of my interest in forensic anthropology. But that research stresses the wide variety of chemical and pheromonal smells that trained dogs can be taught to recognize.
A dog's nose is about 500 times more sensitive than our human noses, right?
I heard 48 to 47, but it is very sensitive.
Well, you heard 48 to 47, and I heard 500. Okay, all right. No, I don't know. I didn't do the heavy research.
As someone who gambles, it's an interesting comment that I hadn't thought of dogs being able to sniff for money.
Are you my gambling friend, David?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
No, I'm. Am I the friend that gambles?
I'm sorry. Did you and I exchange a couple of back channels specifically regarding gambling?
Not back channels.
Sorry, good, bro.
Okay, this is the John Kitover podcast, 9/15/25, 8 p.m. show. Follow us at John Kitover IL on X. That's John Kitover, K-I-T over I-L.
So really quickly, Steve, just because I was curious, I went to the ASPCA website, and it says that a dog's nose